Tonight, I have a veritable plethora of award contenders to review for you tonight, and we can call it an exclusive because I've not posted any of these reviews on any of the social sites. All of these are just indigenous and exclusive to the TV show you're going to like. Got another chance for you to add to your home video collection, and once again, I prove I am the king of the indies. Hey, there's all that plus a whole lot more for you as cinematic class is about to begin, and your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies, and I will expound on that truth a little bit later on in the show as I prove once again that yours truly will cover a myriad of independent films that the condescending critics in the two-letter cities simply won't touch. Hey, we have a lot to do tonight, and it's a jam-packed show, so we should get to it pretty quickly here. First up on our docket is a movie called Help. Now, Help is a thriller, and I will admit that the surprise twist ending is worthwhile. Okay, you will not see it coming because of the way you've been directed through the script and what have you. But I have to tell you that this is probably one of the slowest moving thrillers I've seen in an awfully long time. The ending, the surprise ending, when it does come, actually unfolds a little bit too quickly. So it's like a massive, slow build-up and then bang, boom, you're done. It's like, whoa. Blake Ritter is responsible for this movie. He is the director, the writer, he produced it, and he edited it as well. The stars in the movie are Emily Redpath, Sarah Marks, and Lewis James. You know, I have to tell you, I struggled to get through to the end of this. It was about, I want to say almost a half an hour into it. And I had to hit pause and go down and make myself a nice little cup of espresso because there was no way in the world I was going to make it to the end without it. And I made it to the end, and like I say, the big reveal, if you will, is kind of clever and something that I haven't seen in thrillers before. So that was, but 5 minutes of the movie is not worth the 90 minutes it took to get there. Let's take a look now at Help.
Surprise! Oh my god, it's been such a long time.
Grace, what are you doing here?
Celebrate your birthday, obviously. Will you be staying tonight? I don't want to intrude. You're staying. What happened with you two last night? What do you mean? Just heard some banging and shouting. What did you say to Grace last night?
Nothing, why?
She's been asking questions.
Why'd you really come here?
I knew something strange was happening from the moment I got here. I have to ask you something. Did something bad happen at that house? Let's play a game. You're gonna be blindfolded. One of us is gonna touch you, and you have to guess who it is. What are we gonna do now? I'm thinking. This is insane. I'm disappointed in you, Grace. You lied and manipulated me. I need you to tell me the truth. What did you see?
Okay, so in our celluloid crock pot, we are going to throw in a little piece of John Carpenter's They Live. We'll add a little bit of Jeff Bridges and Tron. We'll throw in a little of Jim Carrey and The Truman Show, and a whole veritable plethora of people from Ready Player One. We'll put all of those together and slow cook them for a while, and we'll come up with a movie called Free Guy. Now, before I get into my main review here, let me back off just a little bit. The Critics' Choice Association, of which yours truly is a charter member, breaks off into committees during awards season. And some of the awards they give out come under what we call the Super Awards. And these are basically awards that are more in my milieu because they are awards given to movies that are popular. You know, you will include your action adventure, your horror movies, your sci-fi, your superhero movies, you know, the kind of stuff that people actually go and buy a ticket at a movie theater to see, and not the preachy ones that are always up for awards. So in the Super Awards this year, this movie, Free Guy, continually came up in the sci-fi category, and I could see where that happened. Certainly because it has a type of sci-fi element to it, but I have to tell you, this movie fits a lot more comfortably in the comedy genre. I mean, this movie is awfully funny. It really is, and I found myself laughing several times out loud, which was not good because I watched it late at night and probably woke everybody up. Ryan Reynolds, Jodie Comer, and Joe Keery star in this, as well as Channing Tatum and Takai Waititi. Now, good all-American name for you there. There's also some big stars in this that you'll never see. You just hear them. They do voiceovers. And they include Hugh Jackman, Dwayne Johnson, Tina Fey, and John Krakowski. So there's a big crew of this, both behind the camera, star-wise, and in front of the camera as well. As I said, it's a funny movie. But there is definitely an anti-gun message that runs all the way through this entire film, which is in a bit ironic because it takes place within a first-person shooter video game. Okay, so it's kind of doesn't round hole square peg type thing, and you know. You can't knock Ryan Reynolds for his success because God knows he's had enough of it. But he is starting to get a little annoying in constantly playing these metrosexual types. You know, although he's good in the action sequences and he puts them together, this is not the persona that would be that type of action character. You know, he plays a wuss who suddenly knows how. I mean, it reminds me back in the opening days of Adam Sandler, where we were supposed to believe that he could actually fight, or maybe he was an athlete. You know, it just doesn't fit the persona at all. So I would really like to see him do something that's off his beaten track. That metrosexual character he plays is starting to become a little bit annoying. All that said, if you're looking for some laughs, I think you'll enjoy Free Guy.
Everybody down on the ground!
Hey, bud, you ever think that there's got to be more?
More than what?
The stuff we do day after day. Being shot at? Run over? Taken hostage?
Everybody down on the ground! Today's gonna be different.
Hi.
God, this isn't you. You don't do this, man.
Maybe I do. Phew, this is scary!
He's just resting.
In pieces. That man is dead.
He's so sleepy.
But it's just a squeeze.
Wow!
this what recreational drugs feel like?
Guy, this world, it's a video game. And it's full of bad guys.
I'm a rule breaker. I'm a rattle chicka 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 snaker.
We need you to be the good guy.
I'm sorry. Oh, God.
Wow! Giddy up!
Is that a Glock in your pocket?
No,
What?
it's 2 Glocks.
Oh!
And I feel like I should be doing this next part with me Irish accent, trying to sound like Pat O'Brien and Bellas of St. Mary's. Sorry, I can't avoid it. The reason I'm saying that is because there is an Irish luck card game being held at the House of Faruza Cigar Lounge. This is going to be held up on March the 19th. And you know, when Sam puts these things together, he does really an excellent job in seeing that when you go down there, my friends, you are going to have one whale of a time. And the entire event, as I said, is scheduled for March 19th. And it begins at 5 o'clock. There's going to be libations and food. And, of course, Irish Luck card game is going to be in there as well. So it sounds like it's going to be a great evening. You should call down there now and get your reservation in so that you're not closed out. Like I said, when Sam puts these things together, they're just an awful lot of fun. I know I've been to several of them. I've never had a bad night there. It's the House of Faruza Barbershop and Cigar Lounge, and obviously we're talking about the Cigar Lounge here. They're located on the corner of Drake Road and South Park Road in Bethel Park. Give Sam a call. Make sure you're registered for the event, and who knows, I may see you down there. A good time is guaranteed to be had by all, as Chili Billy would always say. Hey, I want to tell you about this movie because it is really a Jekyll and Hyde. I'm not exactly sure why this was done the way it was done, but well, let me get to it. We have a foreign film here, and it's called Nocturna. Now, at the top of the show, I told you all of the reviews I'm doing on tonight's show are exclusive to the show. I got to throw a little bit of a caveat in on that. Nocturna was released in Side A and Side B. So you're going back to your old LPs, for those of you old enough to remember vinyl. Side A, I actually put up on the social sites, simply because I think it's one of the best movies of the year so far. This movie is really good, and it's the type of movie you wouldn't expect me to like because, there's no action, there's no bridges blowing up, or martial arts fights or anything like that. No monsters per se. It's a drama. It really is. It is I hate to use the term, but it's kind of a tearjerker. Remember when they made Love Story and Ryan O'Neal and all that kind of stuff? It's kind of like that, but it's a tearjerker about old age, dementia setting in at old age, mistakes and opportunities missed during life, and perhaps, just perhaps, salvation at the end of your life. It stars Pepe Soriano, Mary Lou Martini, and Desiree Salguero. They do a fine job in this, basically a three-man play. And I got to point out the cinematographer because it is excellently shot by Claudio Biza. He does a real good job on this. His framing, his camera angles. He even uses some cant camera angles, which are really great in this thing, and it's great. Side A, Nocturna Side A, is an excellent movie. It really is. I enjoyed it immensely. Now, they came out with a Side B, and it is the Side B that is exclusive to this show. In fact, I even said in my review that I posted on the social networks that if they wanted to know about Side B, they had to watch this particular episode. I'm not exactly sure why Side B was made. The only thing that I can think is that they were trying to impress or possibly give the artsy-fartsy class something to gaze at. Think of it as an experimental element of the good movie, which is Side A. All right, this one is only about an hour long, so it's not very long. It's exceptionally difficult to watch, mainly because it's comprised of repeated segments that are often blurred and then shot at alternate speeds. It's really weird. And it's shot to make it look like you're watching old home movies made on Super 8 millimeter. Remember all the way back in the day, reel-to-reel type of thing? Yeah, it's all shot that way. And all of this is, even though it contains a few scenes that come from Side A, it's still just something enveloped in some rather esoteric, banal banter. Side B really adds nothing to the storyline in Side A. It doesn't enhance it at all. And the only thing I can think of is it's basically there just to appease, the hoi polloi of film as an art form and to put some perspective from Side A, which is the good movie, into their milieu. My strong advice, stick with Side A. It's excellent.
¿Con qué me voy a ir?
No pensé en la memoria, que es lo único que no reconoce la jaula. Creo que no puedo salir. No me atrevo a salir.
¿Cómo puedo ser tan grande y tener tanto miedo?
Good old William Shakespeare, the bard, if you will. He wrote a tale, tragedy, but a love tragedy, called Romeo and Juliet. And it was about two warring families. And wouldn't you know it, a couple of youngsters, girl from one family, boy from another family, fall in love. Hatfields and McCoys type thing. A story that is almost eternal, and you can plug a whole, well, actually they did plug a whole lot of things into it. Back in the 60s, the movie was made called West Side Story. And basically what West Side Story is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. But this time we don't have warring families. The warring families kind of died down even in the society of the 60s. There weren't really warring families, unless, of course, the 5 families in New York. But I digress a little bit there. So when this came out, they decided to make it a musical rather than a heavy-handed cultural Tetris on it. And what they did was they got Leonard Bernstein to write the music and Stephen Sondheim to do the lyrics. In music, man, that's a 1-2 punch right there. You really can't beat it. Now, when the original West Side Story came out, it came out to mixed reviews, and a lot of the mixed reviews were because of the casting. I think George Harris was in this, and I think it was Natalie Wood. They got to play Maria, if memory serves well. And even though there was a bit of angst, shall we say, over the casting in the movie would not die. It kept lingering, and enduring, okay? And I believe a big part of that was because of the music took precedence over the actors. I mean, when you went to see West Side Story, you didn't care about the Sharks and the Jets. You cared about the music and listening to the music. Okay, so West Side Story was strong enough to last for quite some time on its own. Nobody touched it, really, until Steven Spielberg came along this year. And he decided that he was going to tackle down West Side Story. Now, you would think a movie like this, with Spielberg at the helm, would be an automatic hit. Well, the studio certainly thought so. I mean, they were so covetous of this project that even for bona fide film critics, they would not let us screen the movie or send screening links or what have you. And then they opened it up into the box office. It went into the theaters and it bombed. Okay? It bombed so much that the studio said, yeah, we better give this to the critics so they can watch the movie and see that it's really worthwhile. Okay. So we're able to watch the movie now, and you sit and you scratch your head and you say, well, what in the world happened to this thing that caused it to bomb? Spielberg should have been able to handle this. Well, let me tell you what he did. And after having watched it, I can understand. You know, let me throw a side in here, too. This movie, in fact, you can even see it up here at the top if you can. The Critics' Choice Awards, this has garnered 11 nominations. Okay? This is why I tend to buck a lot of what my charter organization does. Okay? Simply because of stuff like this. Now, that's a tie with Belfast, Kevin Branagh's Belfast. I would sit and watch Belfast again in a heartbeat. Not this. Okay? So, okay, what went wrong, Professor? Well, Spielberg took the story and he kept it in the 60s. Okay. You know, we didn't come up to the zeros. That's fine. But he added the cultural mores and dilemmas of today's society and then tried to jam them back into the 60s culture. Folks, this never works. It just doesn't work. It can be effective if you're doing a parody or a comedy. All right? The old TV show Hercules with Kevin Sorbo did this very effectively as a comedy. There is a movie out now that's getting a lot of award nods called The Harder They Fall, and that does the same thing. It's billed as a Western. No, it's a comedy. It's a satire, if you will, okay? But this is not a satire or a comedy. It's a musical, and trying to do that just plain didn't fit. This film is way too preachy on everything from gun rights to immigration situations, to cultural assimilation problems, and to transgenderism. Yes, we're in the 60s, and Spielberg even went that far as to bring in the transgender situation, dilemma, if you will. This could have been an awful lot better. Michael Kahn is back editing this. He's probably one of the best cutters in the business, and even he couldn't cut this thing to salvage it because scriptwriter Tony Kushner infused too much of the progressive themes and even went so far as to cast black actors as Puerto Ricans. Now, you know there are black Puerto Ricans. Yeah, I understand that, but these are not black Puerto Rican actors. They're black actors posing as Puerto Ricans. You know, and they do this in the name of diversity, and these are the same people that will scream because Scarlett Johansson played an anime character who was supposed to be Oriental. You know, no minds. Now, Spielberg also does something else that is not good for this movie. He plays with the ending. He shifts a couple of scenes. And in doing that, in taking the end and shifting around the sequencing, he allows for a lot more preaching in this thing. Look, folks, Romeo and Juliet, as originally written, is a tragedy. You know when you start watching it, it's not going to end well. So you don't further weigh down the story by infusing it with anti-white, anti-American lectures. Didn't find an audience? I'm not surprised. Here's Spielberg's take on West Side Story.
I never seen you before. You're not Puerto Rican.
Is that okay?
Do you want to start World War III?
You know, I wake up to everything I know either getting sold or wrecked or being taken over by people that I don't like.
You keep away from him as long as you're in my house.
I'm a grown-up now, Bernardo. I'm gonna think for myself.
Tony, we need you if we're going to war.
You know, there are a lot of movies that I have questioned being tossed into the horror genre. You know, a lot of these maniacal killers and slashers, if they're human killers and slashers, I don't consider that a horror film. You know, I mean, horror has to deal with something supernatural, something otherworldly, okay? This movie, Lamb, is being promoted as a horror film. In fact, in that Super Awards panel that I told you about a little bit earlier, there were a few people pushing this very hard for one of the best horror films of the year. Boy, it just doesn't fit that, folks. Lamb is not a horror film. It's actually a social culture commentary. Let me give you the names of some of the people in this. It was directed by Vladimir Johansson, and it's basically a tale of sticking to one's own. You kind of sit back and you wonder, well, geez, how does this fit in today's society where there is a big push for diversity and multiculturalism and also, you know, interracial combining and what have you. But this movie basically says that not sticking to your own kind can and will have deadly consequences. You know, I'm sure you recognize Noomi Rapace on the front of this. She stars in this. And this is an Icelandic movie. It was made in Iceland with the cooperation of Sweden. If you look at those two countries, folks, you'll notice that they have had a massive amount of immigration over the last few years. And the people in those countries are not happy about it because the folks who are immigrating into their country are not assimilating into their culture. Instead, they're coming into Iceland and Sweden and setting up, in essence, their own country in a different locale. And the native people are not happy about that. And you could see that this is evident in this movie. It's very slow in the beginning, I must admit. But once the twist or the little trick is revealed, it picks up a tad. The entire movie tends to be a bit meandering. There is a rather meaningless and unnecessary subplot about the brother that's never brought to fulfillment. So you wonder, why is that in there? Was there an actual history between Maria and the brother? It's never really revealed. Why does he come and go on a regular basis, it seems, back to the farm? That's never revealed. So there's a whole lot about that dynamic that's just kind of cast off into the wind. And that's a mistake in making the movie. The movie is called Lamb. I would love to stay and talk movies with you for, hell, we could do this thing all night, but we are fresh out of time. So, now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.